Hey guys, you're watching Couch Surfing here with Mel and Matt. We've got a very special guest with us on the couch, Steve Mowry.
Is that me?
I think it's you.
I'm a special guest.
You are a very special guest.
Well, there you go. Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on. And yeah.
Privilege having you all. It's the 41st episode that we've done, so.
And why is it taking this long to get me on?
Well.
I'll let you ask the questions.
That's it. Hey, look, with the pandemic and everything that's happened, you know, how was it adjusting after the pandemic and doing the live shows? Because yourself being a busy man, playing live gigs all the time would have been very hard. Yeah, everyone, it was a bit tough for everyone, but for yourself too, how was it affecting you after the pandemic?
Okay, well, initially, let's say during the pandemic,
yeah.
A lot of things were postponed, not necessarily cancelled. A lot of the shows, because the main show at the time that I was in was the Rock Show,
yeah,
and which was John English's band.
That's right.
And a lot of those shows were pushed back, because we couldn't even get together. You know, we couldn't. A lot of the people in the band live all over New South Wales.
Right.
They're not from Sydney,
and
so they had to fly in, and they couldn't do that, or you know, whatever. So a lot of things got pushed back. But when things relaxed a little bit will it ever end? Will the pandemic ever end? But we'll call it that when it was coming to its end in a sense.
In a sense, yeah.
Those shows were able to be performed, because they'd all been pushed back. But it meant a lot of them were all squashed together. So a lot of gigs, one after the other.
Yeah.
With the different bands that I remember, particularly the Rock Show.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, things. I may have been one of the lucky ones because my shows came back really quickly, some people would have suffered more than others.
Yeah.
And fortunately for me, I have a day gig as well, so that covered my normal living expenses. Not that the music industry ever covers my expenses at all, to be honest.
No.
But so I fared pretty well compared to a lot of people I know in the industry.
Yeah, cool.
It's still going on now. There's still quite a lot of shows going on, which is still good.
Good stuff. Let's have a bit of a history about yourself now, Steve. You've been in the industry for quite a long time.
This is my 40th year.
40th year.
Yeah.
See, a lot of people struggle the last.
Yeah, I was only 4 when I started, and we'll leave it at that. So in 1983 I started, and it was a band in Bulli, and doing some originals and some covers. Like a lot of the bands that I've been in over the years have been originals and covers.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard for an original band to make any money at all. You've got to be playing covers. So we couldn't get many gigs in those days. Same as these days, it's hard to get original gigs. You can get them, but if you're playing in the inner city doing originals, you get very little money, and you've still got to try and cover your costs somehow. We give you the rehearsal time, you've got your instruments to pay for, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So the way around that was to always play, maybe 30% covers, 30% originals,
Yep.
and the rest were covers type of thing, So that was in 1983, and I went to a lot of bands over the years. I can't remember all the names, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's been very rarely that I haven't been in a band and haven't been playing.
Yeah.
So I've been very fortunate.
Good stuff. Have you got a favourite live show you've done? I know it's a big question to be asked.
Favourite one?
Yeah, one that stands out maybe the most out of all the shows that you've done.
There's probably a few, but there was one where when I was in Black Label, we played at the Bankstown motorcycle show. We played there many times, but I think might have been the first or second year that we did the show, it was absolutely torrential downpour, and either fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, there's about 7,000 people there, and they all had to try and cram under where we were playing.
Yeah.
So that was probably one of the best audiences we've ever had, because they were sort of a captive audience, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
And it was a great show. Other great shows, I think, good and bad at the same time, was my brother's Ted's benefit concerts in 2001.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah.
That was it was great for that so many people in the music industry from the late 60s and 70s became involved, and even some from the 80s became involved in that 2-day show.
Yeah.
And it was a great privilege for me to be involved.
Yeah, it would be.
You know, first time I ever got on stage with TMG.
Yep.
And you know, which is really interesting. You know, the guys that afternoon of the first night of the gig, which was the 9th of March, 2001, we got together and they said, you know, what songs are we doing? This, we're going to do these 3 songs, 3 or 4. I can't think it was 3, which is "Jump My Car," "Dark Town Shot of Ball," and "Crazy."
Yep, of course. Yep.
And they said to me, you know them? I said, oh yeah, I know them. I've heard them plenty of times. I said, right, let's go. That was, so the sound check in the afternoon was the rehearsal.
Oh my gosh.
And so
wow.
that was the first time I'd sang with them. And then that night, they're such a good band. Like I mean, they know their stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And it was only me who had to try and keep up, if you know what I mean.
Of course.
They knew their stuff, but that was 2 really amazing nights for me.
Yeah,
and I'm probably looking at it in an advantageous way for me. It probably opened doors for me to people who wouldn't probably never have seen me perform. You know? It's unfortunate it was for the reason that it was, but I'm forever grateful for that opportunity, and it's helped me throughout the preceding years, you know, 20 odd years. So that's it. And also another good one, we played in Europe. So Black Label played in Europe at a place called, I'm just trying to think, it was in the Netherlands. Was it the one in the Netherlands? The one in the Netherlands was a really good night. And the one in, we had one at a place called Ulsen, which was very close to Hamburg. And they were great shows, for packed houses.
Yeah, right.
So they're probably the only few that I would, of course, and anything that I've done with the rock show over the past couple of years, because they've all been basically full houses. Until you come to Sydney. Nobody's coming out in Sydney, they're not buying tickets.
What's going on, guys?
We played Penrith Panthers and we got 300 people. 300 people in Panthers looks empty.
It does,
but everywhere else in regional New South Wales, we were playing theatres, they're all full houses. And some of them were classified as full houses when they were 3/4 full because of the pandemic. You were only allowed to 75%.
And there's seating involved.
But this is an interesting thing I found. I'm probably opening a can of worms here. But they said that, you know, they were only allowed to have 75% capacity to make it full. However, that 75% capacity was the last 3 or 4 rows of the venue. So in other words, everybody else was still sitting all together.
Wow.
So the 75% was still no spare seats.
No spare seats.
What sense does that make?
Well,
none whatsoever.
No.
So 3 or 4 rows at the back, which could have been, how many tickets? It could have been, you know, 150 tickets. You couldn't sell because of you needed the COVID spacing. But hello, everybody else was together.
Really doesn't.
So it made no sense whatsoever.
Very strange. Very strange.
So anyway.
So the rest of the year, 2023, will just kicked off. Year. Looks like you're a little bit busy. There's a few shows happening.
Already. I've got my own band, my original band is Lawless Breed. And I've already got 5 shows booked for this year, which isn't bad because the original band playing covers again,
of course,
as well. But the first one is next weekend at. When is this going out, by the way?
Let's go at the end of the month.
Okay, so guess what? This show's already happened.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so on the 14th of January is my first show of the year, and it was at Woy Woy, at the old pub Woy Woy. That's Lawless Breed. And plus I've got 3 more shows this month with Rock Cake, which is a completely cover band. We've got Rick Lum in it from the band Hush,
of course,
the 1970s. And a guitarist called Claude Perfandi. He was in a band called Blow, and he was also in a band called Birds of Prey. and the drummer is a guy from called Tony Sharman. So that's a fun band to be in.
Yeah.
So I've got 4 shows for January.
Yep.
And then a bunch more coming. I'd have to look at my calendar to look at them all because there's that much going on.
No, absolutely. With Lawless itself, are you recording some new stuff soon?
Yeah. So with Lawless Breed, we have 11 new songs.
Yep.
The interesting thing is we're not 100%. You know, I prefer to road test songs before I record them.
Yeah.
Because you find out little things about them as you're playing, and you go, oh, that didn't sort of work, and. What the audience didn't really think much of that one. Should we do something with? Anyway, you go through this process, and so yes, we've got 11 songs to record, which were written last year. So that will be happening. So whether we'll write another one, make it 12 songs, or whether we reduce it, make it 10 songs for because we're still in the old school mindset. We want to release an album,
of course,
and have hard copies to sell at shows.
100%.
Yes, I mean, and the downloads are great, all that kind of stuff. But I'm of the old school where when I used to buy an album, whether it be vinyl or CD, I used to like to open the cover and look at if there's any pictures of different things, or if there was any who wrote what, who supplied this, who did the engineering, who did the producing. I like to know all that information.
Of course,
that's part of the package to me.
Yeah.
When you buy an album, and the vinyl, you pulled out the inner sleeve. It was in a sleeve, and you had words on it, and then you might even have something inside that had something. There's all these things to discover.
Yeah.
And that's what I liked about buying albums, and that's what I want to keep it that way. I want to do it myself.
Yeah.
And because of I guess some of the demographic of our age group, some of those people still want to buy CDs.
Of course, absolutely.
So yes, we'll be doing that, having CDs and other merchandise, because that's you make your money from merchandise, really, T-shirts and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll have some of that as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But I have the best of both worlds because I've got original bands, and I've got cover bands, and I've got shows, theatre shows and all that kind of thing. And TMG, so I'm fortunate for that because TMG will be back on the road this year.
I was going to ask that, how that's going. I know it's only a little bit quiet at the moment, but I'm sure it's going to be coming back in full explosion.
That again was all because of the pandemic, because the last show that TMG did was in March 2020.
Yep.
And we were in Melbourne, Doncaster actually. And it was like a 5 or 6 band bill. I think Hush was on it as well, but they weren't called Hush. It was really Get Rocked. They were called Get Rocked.
Yeah.
And with Mark Gable singing. And we did that show, and that was the end of it because of the pandemic. But in the meantime, there's been a lot of activity within the band, which I can't really mention right now. But there will be a tour later this year because TMG, Ted Murray Gang, started 50 years ago in October just gone.
Oh wow.
So it's going to be the 50th anniversary tour.
Excellent.
And with some surprises going on there, there's other stuff going on with it.
Yep.
But so that's something that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
And the good thing about TMG, I'm the youngest in the band.
How good's that?
You see, most of the other bands, I'm the oldest in the band. With that one, I'm the young'un.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
Is there any advice that you give out to young kids that want to start a band? For yourself who's had all this experience in the past, a lot of people do look up to you.
Yeah.
Is there any advice that you give to young
get a job at McDonald's and forget about it. Okay, so no, probably keep your job at McDonald's because my brother said to me a long time ago, and I've always remembered this.
Yep.
He said, never give up your day job until you're absolutely certain.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? I've still got a day job. It's got to be one of the best things in life to do. So I would suggest that you stick by your guns, no matter who says you shouldn't or won't make it, can't make it. That's just crap. What does making it mean? That's what you got to think to yourself. What does making it mean? It used to be to me, to be a star, to be like the AC/DC or the Rolling Stones, be a big star. But that's 0.1 of 1%, or even less than that, of bands that, or musicians who get to that stage. What can be successful? Success can be just playing your own songs that you've written, and people, and what is exciting about that is seeing other people in the crowd singing back your songs to you that you've written. That's a great experience, and just doing what you want to do. It's a great form of expression, like any art form is. Painting is, sculpture is, dancing is. But being a musician and a singer, whatever you do, it really is one of the most worthwhile things you could do, not just for yourself, but for the world. Because I think music speaks to it doesn't matter what language you're in, music speaks to you, it speaks to everybody. It's not just two people having a conversation, it is touching people's souls inside. That's what music does to me anyway. It touches me, and it changes your emotion regardless of what the music is. You can have music that makes you cry, you can have music that makes you laugh, music that makes you angry, music that's loving. Every emotion can be performed through music. So I would suggest anybody wanting to be a musician, be in a band or a solo artist or whatever, go for it. But make sure you practice a lot.
Some great advice there, Steve.
Yeah, and don't expect to be rich straight away.
Yeah, that's it. That's all we can
I should be rich any day now. It's been 40 years so far.
Steve, thank you so much for doing this interview.
Thank you.
Pleasure having a chat with you. Looking forward for the rest of the year. I'll catch you in St Mary's, actually.
Yeah, you're going to come to that?
Yeah, I'll come to that show.
You lucky devil.
Pop down. It's just down the road.
Yeah. I expect you down the front,
Are we rocking?
I reckon you should.
I'll bring it back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff.